Howdy there neighbors, Ian with eTrailer here. Today we're going to be taking a look at and installing the Pace Edwards Switchblade Retractable Hard Tonneau cover on our 2017 Ford F-350 Super Duty. Let's get into a couple features of that and then the install. So when selecting tonneau covers, you may be looking at hard and soft tops, and there's definitely benefits and drawbacks to both. The neighbor here is going to be applying a fifth wheel into his factory puck system he's got in the bed here. And so this hard tonneau cover is going to give him lots and lots of protection for that and anything else he's got stored in the bed. So when the fifth wheel's not in use, it can stay in the bed, or if he's got any extra gear, this can also help protect that as well. And just as a measurement to be able to see what we've got for clearance, we're looking at 20.5 inches from the bottom of the bed up to the bottom of the cover. So that way that's going to give you an idea of that clearance if you are going to be using this to cover up a fifth wheel. That being said, other than fifth wheels, it is going to be a great option over those soft tops. Any of these hard tops are going to offer that extensive protection, not only from weather, but from any people that may want to acquire the things you have. So your hard tops aren't as easy to get through by any means, and especially with this retractable type, it's going to be very difficult for anyone to access anything you've got in your bed. So at the moment we've got it closed, so it does have that nice clean flush profile. And then if we wanted to get rid of the cover for just the moment and have that retract, there is a squeeze tab here in the center that you'll push, hang on to that handle, and allow that to retract itself. It should go the most of the way since it is spring loaded, and then that last little bit you can always just get by hand. So with this retracted, we are going to lose about 14 inches in on the bed space, and then from the top of the housing down to the bottom, we're losing about another 11. So it will take up some of the space, but with this cover, it is not actually drilled into any part. It is all just held on by clamps, and so it is removable if need be. It would be a little difficult to do and kind of time consuming, so it is best to just leave it in the retracted position if you've got the option, but you can still remove it if you needed your full bed space. When the Switchblade is open all the way, it does offer some protection from the weather as far as attempting to keep any rain or slush or sleet off of there that's going to melt on top of that cover. And it includes a set of 2 drains on each side of our spool housing here. So that's going to filter all that water towards this housing and then drain it away from the cargo, helping keep everything dry and safe. And when the cover's not in use, you do have a small hook and loop fastener that they've given you on the strap to be able to secure that underneath. That'll just help keep everything out of the way when you've got that full load in there. And then getting this out is as easy as coming to the back of the bed here, pulling our strap, coming all the way to the end where we'll hear a positive click, and then it's locked into place. We can close our bed up, and then everything's secured and we're ready to head back down the road. So with the install of this one, as I'd mentioned, there is no drilling into the bed of the vehicle, so that's really nice that we're just going to be using the clamps provided and all the hardware provided, opposed to having to make permanent modifications to the vehicle. And I'm going to walk you through that whole process, but if you happen to watch this video and think to yourself, I don't want to have to put that on, please do check out our dealer locator on the website. We'd be happy to get you a trained professional to put that on in your local area. But for all those DIYers, let's go ahead and hop into the install and I'll walk you through it. We do need to begin at the front of the cab, and we're going to be putting in place the foam insert that's going to work as a seal along the front. So before we do so, to make sure that adhesive stays, I'm just going to clean that off with some isopropyl alcohol as best as we can. With this having the textured bed liner, you may find that it's going to be a little difficult to get any of that dust or debris out of those holes. We're going to come to the rear edge of that lip, just beginning right at the edge of our molding here and working all the way down to the other side. Once we get to the other edge here, we'll just make sure we cut that right at the line where the other molding starts, and press that into place. Now this can be put into place with one person. They've given you that grab handle in the middle. So just take that, and we're going to roughly set this on each lip of the bed with the cover facing forward. Before we put the rails into place, we will clean off the bed rails the same way we did with the front of the bed, and then there is an adhesive strip that runs the length of the rails that we'll need to remove. Now, to identify your rails, there is a sticker included on those that say left and right. Our right side is going to be that passenger side and left on the driver. So for now, we'll just make sure we're as centered up as we can be with this, and we'll just lay this into place, getting a rough idea of how that's going to sit against our bed. On the bottom of the rail, we do have a position for a screw to live, and we'll need to make sure that lines up with this hole here located on the cover. So the first thing we're going to do is slide the cover into the channel, moving that rail backwards, and you may have to jostle this back and forth to get it to go into place. Now we're going to take the provided hardware of the bolt, a lock washer on first, and then a flat washer, and we're going to feed that up through the bracket that I showed you, the little plastic bracket, into the rail. So you will want a flashlight underneath there, so that way you can make sure you've got that hole lined up before you start threading it. It is a 7/16, so we're going to do our best to show that being put into place under there, but it is extremely tight quarters. And once we've got that driver's side done, we'll hop over, and then anything we do from here on out pretty much is going to be the same on that driver's side. So I just figured I'd mention, if you see anything done on the passenger side, we did the same on the driver unless otherwise noted. For these clamps that are going to be holding our rails onto the bed, they're going to come in multiple pieces. What we want to do is take a lock washer, a flat washer, and go ahead and thread that over your handle. And we're going to be taking the channeled piece here. So we'll take the L channel and have that facing inwards. We will make sure that we are coming to the open face of the channel for the rail, and we'll slide that up into place, and then over towards the stopper located on the rail. And there are going to be two of these on each side, one towards the back of the bed and then one towards the front, but they do function the same way. Now we can take the other part of the clamp, and that L channel's got the little C at the end of it, and we're going to take the larger C, placing our end here up into a good safe spot underneath, and those two C channels here should just slide together. We'll now follow that up with the handle assembly, and you're going to have a small retainer that lives on the back side of the clamp in the little channel. So we just line those up. And with them lined up, we can just slightly snug it down for now. That way we can still make any adjustments as needed. With the other 4 clamps in place, we do have 2 more at the rear of the bed we'll need to deal with, and it is the exact same situation with that channel. So we'll just slide that into place on the rail. And then we're going to move that back towards, we're going to try to find something on the bed that's going to be flat, because this little foot does need to sit against a flat surface. So once we've got that in place where we'd like it, and I think what I'm going to do is try to come all the way back to this surface here. So we'll stop right there, and then on one side of this, you're just going to have a thread that comes out, and you'll remove the hardware off of that. And we're going to slide that threading through that bracket getting that foot up against the wall. If we need to, we can adjust that bracket a little further down. And then we will come back through with our flat washer, followed by the lock washer, and then the wing nut. And then once we've snugged that down, you can take the handle here on that foot and start to rotate that clockwise, and that will press up against the bed. So we just want to get a little bit of firm pressure there, and we'll leave that for now. A small lubrication pad, and we're going to open that up and come to the seal on each of the rails. And before we extend out our cover, we're just going to run this down along that seal, giving it some lubrication and also some protection as well. Now we'll take the strap of the cover and start to reel that out, just keeping an eye on these rollers up here to make sure everything's feeding into the track properly. We'll get that pulled all the way out. We just want to see as we're doing this if there's any type of binding or if we need to make adjustments on the rails. So it should be pretty decently easy to get that pulled out. And there we've got it locked into place, which is a good start. We'll get that strap out of the way and then close the tailgate to check the seal on that. So we may need to adjust just looking at it. Looks like this rail is sitting maybe just slightly too far back. So we may come back just a hair more on our driver's side. And one way to ensure that we're going to get proper closure with this is between the tailgate and the end cap should have only a 1/16 of an inch, so that is an easy way to get that proper alignment and work on getting it to where it closes so that the seal will sit on the tailgate. Now that we have our proper adjustments, the seal should be sitting flush with the tailgate, slightly overlapping to help create that almost waterproof seal on top. So for the hose, we'll just replace the factory plug that used to be here. They do give you a replacement that already has the hole for the hose, so just run that through and down towards the ground, and then we'll take the top of the hose, making sure our little blue gasket's on there, and there's 2 tabs. We're just going to push up towards the cover box here, and that should just click into place, and we'll make sure that is pushed up out of the way so that none of the load underneath hits it. Now we're ready to put the cap onto the housing for the cover. So one thing I wanted to mention, these caps are not secured to the cover, neither are the gaskets. So that if you slide these gaskets at all, it'll push the caps off, and that's completely fine. You just put it back into place. But we'll want to make sure we check the sticker on the inside. It does say cab side, so get that flipped here. Set it right on top of our roll, and then on top you're going to be able to look down into it and find the holes to add our Phillips head screws. So those are going to be the last thing we do here. Once it's lined up, just get those snugged down. Now, one of the last things we need to do before giving that final check close is just attaching our hook and loop fastener to the center of the strap. So that way we've got a place when there is a load in the bed that the strap can live out of the way. So I will attach that to the hook and loop fastener on our strap from the cover. We'll remove that adhesive backing and then find a spot underneath the rail to push that to. That way when we're not using it, it can just stay out of the way. And that's going to do for our look at and installation of the Pace Edwards Switchblade Retractable Hard Tonneau cover on our 2017 Ford F-350. My name's Ian with eTrailer, and I appreciate you watching.